R. Kelly is sitting on a black book that could destroy everything. Jay-Z, Beyonce, Kanye West. Sources say he's ready to talk, and people are already trying to silence him. This isn't gossip anymore. This is a full-blown collapse event, and Hollywood is terrified. Everybody thought they knew the R. Kelly story. Convicted, locked up, done. That was supposed to be the end of it. The industry moved on, the headlines faded, people stopped talking. But now, new whispers are exploding across underground legal circles, and the whole narrative is twisting into something way darker. Because sources claim R. Kelly didn't just witness things, he documented them. Names, dates, locations, events, and rumor has it he's been quietly negotiating with federal investigators, not for sympathy, for survival. Because the moment that deal started forming, attempts on his life suddenly surfaced. Let me break this down, because this is where everything gets insane. Multiple insiders close to the prison system claim R. Kelly has been keeping detailed records for years. We're not talking vague accusations. We're talking timelines, documented gatherings, industry events where things allegedly happened behind closed doors that the public never saw. And here's where it gets even crazier. Street-level intel and leaked prison conversations suggest R. Kelly's legal team has been in contact with federal investigators tied to a massive entertainment industry probe. Think about it. This isn't just about one man anymore. This is about an entire system that allegedly operated in plain sight, protected by power, money, and fear. Fans online turned into full-blown investigators the moment these whispers started leaking. They're pulling up old interviews, comparing timelines, cross-referencing civil lawsuits, digging into Epstein-adjacent filings that mysteriously overlap with names in the music industry. And folks online swear they're seeing patterns. Names that keep appearing, then getting erased. Lawsuits that mention certain celebrities, then suddenly get dismissed. Witnesses who were about to talk, then go silent. Now, TMZ hasn't officially confirmed all these details yet, but multiple independent sources in legal circles are saying the same thing. R. Kelly allegedly has a list, and that list includes people so powerful, so untouchable, that even mentioning their names in certain contexts gets you buried. Online detectives found something even more disturbing. They started pulling up old footage from industry parties, red carpet events, private gatherings that got leaked years ago, and they're studying everything. Who was present? Who was standing near who? Who left with who? What time certain people arrived and departed. They're slowing down frames, zooming in on faces in the background, comparing mannerisms, even running voice analysis on leaked audio clips. And reports say at least 78% of the people identified in these gatherings have ties to major labels, billion-dollar brands, and global entertainment empires. But here's the part that's really shaking people. Multiple sources claim R. Kelly was present during what insiders describe as industry rituals. Not performances, not recording sessions, but closed-door events where careers were allegedly bought, sold, and destroyed, where control wasn't earned through talent, it was taken through leverage. And once you're inside that world, once you see how the real power moves, you can't just walk away. Because when you stop playing ball, you don't get dropped from the label, you get erased from existence. Now, leaked prison whispers claim R. Kelly started documenting everything the moment he realized he was being set up to take the fall alone. Sources say he kept recordings, kept receipts, kept messages, because he knew if he went down, he wasn't going down solo. And the feds, they're listening, because this isn't just about R. Kelly anymore. This is about uncovering a network that allegedly spans decades. A network that involves some of the most famous, most powerful, most untouchable names in entertainment history. And if even half of what's being whispered is true, the entire industry is about to implode. Now, let's get into the motive, because this is where everything starts clicking into place. R. Kelly's been in prison since 2019, convicted on multiple charges, facing decades behind bars. His career? destroyed. His reputation, gone. His money, dried up from legal fees and settlements. Think about it. This is a man who once sold out arenas, who had chart-topping hits for over 20 years, who was making millions annually at his peak. And now he's sitting in a cell watching the same industry that built him pretend he never existed. That kind of abandonment hits different, especially when you know you weren't the only one involved, especially when you watched other people do the same things, or worse, and walk away untouched. So why is R. Kelly being singled out? Why is he rotting in prison while others are still performing at the Grammys, still getting billion-dollar streaming deals, still being celebrated as icons? That's the question insiders say R. Kelly kept asking, and eventually he stopped asking and started documenting. Now, here's where the Jay-Z and Beyonce connection comes in, and people need to understand this carefully because it's not about proven facts. It's about patterns that keep emerging in underground legal chatter and internet investigations. Multiple civil lawsuits over the years have mentioned Jay-Z's name in proximity to industry exploitation allegations, not as a defendant, not as a confirmed participant, but as someone who was around, someone who was present, someone whose name kept appearing in witness statements, then mysteriously getting redacted or dismissed. Fans online started digging into old interviews where former industry insiders hinted at powerful figures who operated with immunity. And every time someone tried to name names, the interviews got pulled, the witnesses went silent, the lawsuits got settled with NDAs. Now, Beyonce's name has been even more protected. Anytime allegations or rumors started swirling near her circle, they got shut down fast. Legal teams mobilized, media outlets backed off, social media posts disappeared. But here's what's got people spooked. Sources claim R. Kelly was present at industry events where both Jay-Z and Beyonce were in attendance, events that weren't public, events that didn't make the press, events where, according to whispers, business was conducted that had nothing to do with music. And if R. Kelly documented those events, if he has proof of who was where and when, that's not just a scandal, that's a nuclear bomb. Put all that together and it looks like the perfect recipe for desperation, because if the feds confirm even a fraction of what R. Kelly allegedly has, empires will crumble. Legacies will be destroyed, and people who thought they were untouchable will be in handcuffs. Meanwhile, Kanye West's erratic behavior over the past few years is starting to make a lot more sense. People wrote him off as crazy, as having a mental breakdown, as being off his meds. But insiders are now saying Kanye's public meltdowns weren't random. They were warnings. Kanye allegedly refused to sign NDAs tied to reputation cleanup operations. He walked away from deals that would have kept him rich but silent. And once he started talking, once he started dropping hints about what really happens behind the scenes, his life started falling apart. His marriage ended, his business deals collapsed, his public image got destroyed. And then came the cryptic social media posts. "Don't send your hitters at me." People laughed it off. But sources say Kanye knew he was being targeted because he'd seen it happen to others. And now, multiple insiders claim Kanye has been quietly bleeding information to people he trusts, not to the media, not to the public, but to individuals who could protect him if things went south. And rumor has it, R. Kelly's name is on that same list. Kanye West, R. Kelly, other high-profile inmates, disgraced industry figures, all allegedly on a shadow hit list. And that list? It connects to something way bigger than individual crimes. It connects to a network that allegedly involves trafficking, exploitation, and control on a scale most people can't even imagine. And the people running it, they're not street criminals, they're billionaires. But here's the part that really hits different. And this is what makes the whole situation even more disturbing. This isn't just about celebrities and legal battles. This is about victims, real people whose lives were destroyed while the world watched their abusers get richer. Think about the people who tried to speak out years ago, the ones who filed lawsuits, the ones who went to the media, the ones who begged for someone to listen. And what happened? They got silenced. Their cases got dismissed. Their credibility got attacked. Their stories got buried under million-dollar legal teams and PR campaigns. And the abusers? They kept performing, kept winning awards, kept being celebrated as legends. That's the part that's truly messed up, because while the public was streaming their favorite songs and buying concert tickets, there were people living with trauma. People who couldn't escape the memories of what happened to them. People who watched their abusers live in mansions while they struggled to pay for therapy. And now, sources say, some of those victims are being approached by federal investigators, not as suspects, as witnesses. Because if R. Kelly's alleged deal goes through, if he starts naming names and providing evidence, those victims might finally get the justice they were denied for decades. But it comes at a cost. Because testifying means reliving the trauma, means facing their abusers in court, means having their stories picked apart by defense attorneys trying to discredit them. And for some of them, that's a price they're not sure they can pay. But others are ready. Others have been waiting for this moment, waiting for someone with power and proof to finally blow the lid off the whole operation. And if R. Kelly is that person, if his testimony opens the door for other victims to come forward without fear of retaliation, then maybe, just maybe, this nightmare can finally end. But right now, those victims are watching, waiting, hoping this isn't just another false alarm, hoping this time the powerful don't get away with it again. Now, this whole situation gets even crazier when you realize the feds have been quietly building a case for years. And we're not talking local prosecutors. We're talking federal investigators tied to cases that overlap with Epstein-level operations. Let me explain why that matters. When the Jeffrey Epstein case exploded, it exposed not one predator, but an entire network. A network that included politicians, billionaires, celebrities, and power brokers from around the world. And even though Epstein is dead, the investigation never stopped. Because the feds know there are other networks, other operations, other powerful figures who've been operating with immunity for decades. And sources say the entertainment industry is one of the last major sectors they're targeting. Now here's where R. Kelly's alleged deal becomes crucial. Multiple legal insiders claim the feds approached R. Kelly's team with an offer, not a pardon, not a release, but a potential reduction in sentence in exchange for full cooperation. And cooperation doesn't just mean naming names. It means providing evidence, documents, recordings, messages, photos, locations, dates, everything needed to build a prosecutable case against people who've spent millions making sure they stay untouchable. And reportedly, R. Kelly's team has been negotiating. Now, the moment word of those negotiations started leaking, that's when things got dangerous. Because sources say there have been at least 2 suspicious incidents involving R. Kelly while in custody. One allegedly involved a physical altercation with another inmate that insiders say was orchestrated. Another allegedly involved a medical emergency that guards reportedly took too long to respond to. Both incidents raised red flags among people close to the case, because in prison, accidents don't just happen, especially not to high-profile inmates who are about to flip on powerful people. And this isn't paranoia, this is pattern. Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide under circumstances that still don't add up. Multiple witnesses in other high-profile cases have died under mysterious circumstances before they could testify. And now, R. Kelly, someone who allegedly has information that could destroy some of the biggest names in entertainment, is suddenly facing incidents that could have ended his life. People aren't asking if someone's trying to silence him anymore. They're asking who ordered it. And more importantly, who has the power to make it happen inside a federal prison. Meanwhile, fans online have been tracking another disturbing pattern. Several industry executives have quietly moved assets overseas in recent months, liquidating properties, transferring money to offshore accounts, buying citizenship in countries with no extradition treaties. Why? Why now? Why are people who've spent their entire career in the US suddenly relocating to places like Dubai, Switzerland, and the Cayman Islands? Online detectives cross-referenced the timing of these moves with the rumored R. Kelly negotiations, and they line up perfectly. Almost like certain people got a warning, almost like they know something's coming, and they're getting out while they still can. Now here's the part that's got legal experts buzzing. If the feds have been building this case for years, if they've been gathering evidence, flipping witnesses, and tracking financial records, then R. Kelly's cooperation might just be the final piece they need. The piece that connects everything, the piece that turns rumors into indictments. And if that happens, we're not talking about one arrest, we're talking about multiple arrests, simultaneous raids, sealed indictments getting unsealed, and names that people thought were untouchable getting exposed on a level the industry has never seen. But there's a problem, because the more powerful the target, the more resources they have to fight back. And sources say certain figures have already started mobilizing their legal teams, preparing defenses, attacking the credibility of potential witnesses, and allegedly doing whatever it takes to make sure this case never sees the inside of a courtroom. Because if it does, everything falls apart. Let's talk about Kanye again, because his role in all this is way deeper than people realize. Kanye's been screaming into the void for years now, and every time he says something that sounds crazy, something that the media writes off as a meltdown, months later, pieces of what he said start making sense. Remember when Kanye said he was being silenced by powerful people in the industry? People laughed. But then his social media accounts got suspended, his business deals got canceled, his music got pulled from certain platforms. Remember when Kanye said there were people trying to destroy him for speaking out? People called him paranoid. But then his mental health became a public spectacle. His personal life got weaponized against him. And suddenly, every interview he did was framed as unstable instead of whistleblowing. Now, insiders claim Kanye has been in contact with other industry figures who've been blacklisted, people who tried to speak out and got destroyed for it, people who refused to play the game and lost everything. And allegedly, Kanye's been quietly sharing information with them, not for revenge, for protection. Because Kanye knows that the moment he has something documented, the moment he has proof of what he's been saying, he becomes a target. And sources say Kanye's been warning people for months, warning them that something big is about to drop, warning them that the industry's darkest secrets are about to come to light, and warning them that when it does, nobody's safe. Now here's where things get even more connected. Multiple people close to Kanye claim he's been in contact with legal teams connected to the R. Kelly case, not as a witness, not as a defendant, but as someone with information that could corroborate what R. Kelly's been saying. Think about it. Kanye's been in the industry for over 20 years. He's worked with everyone. He's been inside the rooms where deals get made, where power gets traded, where secrets get buried. And if Kanye decides to talk, if he decides to provide his own documentation, his own recordings, his own evidence, then this doesn't just become R. Kelly's word against the industry. This becomes multiple witnesses, multiple sources, multiple pieces of evidence, all pointing to the same conclusion. And that's when the walls start closing in. But here's the risk. Because the more Kanye talks, the more danger he's in, and people close to him are terrified. They've watched what happened to others who spoke out. They've seen careers destroyed, reputations shredded, lives ruined, and in some cases, lives ended. So the question isn't whether Kanye knows something, the question is whether he'll survive long enough to say it. And right now, nobody knows the answer. What we're seeing here is way bigger than individual cases. What we're seeing is the potential collapse of an entire power structure that's been protected for decades. Think about how the industry has operated. Young artists sign deals they don't understand, they get used, they get exploited, and when they try to speak out, they get silenced through NDAs, through legal threats, through character assassination. And the people at the top, they stay untouchable because they have the money, the lawyers, the connections. But what happens when those protections start to crack? What happens when someone with insider knowledge decides they have nothing left to lose? What happens when the feds start believing the victims instead of the abusers? That's when the entire system starts to crumble. And the entertainment industry is terrified, because this isn't just about R. Kelly, this is about precedent. If R. Kelly's cooperation leads to convictions, if powerful figures actually face consequences for once, then other victims will come forward. Other witnesses will start talking. Other insiders will realize they don't have to protect these monsters anymore. And that's when the flood starts. Because for every R. Kelly, there are dozens of other cases that got buried. For every Weinstein, there are hundreds of other predators who never faced justice. And the industry knows it. That's why they're scrambling. That's why assets are being moved. That's why legal teams are being mobilized. Because they're not just fighting one case, they're fighting to prevent a domino effect. And if they lose, if the first domino falls, then everything comes crashing down. Now, the bigger conversation here is about accountability. For too long, the entertainment industry has operated like it's above the law, like talent and fame somehow make you immune to consequences, like victims should just stay silent because speaking out will ruin careers. But whose careers? Not the victims' careers, the abusers' careers. And why should victims have to carry that burden? Why should they have to live with trauma while their abusers live in mansions? That's the question society is finally starting to ask, and the industry doesn't have a good answer. Because the truth is, they knew. They knew what was happening. They knew who was involved, and they chose to look the other way. Because profit mattered more than people. Because image mattered more than justice. But now, that choice is coming back to haunt them, and there's nowhere left to hide. So, what happens next? That's the question everyone's asking. And honestly, nobody knows. Because this situation is unprecedented. We've never seen a potential exposure event on this scale in the music industry. But here's what sources are saying could happen. If R. Kelly's deal goes through, if he provides evidence that the feds can use, then we're looking at sealed indictments, meaning arrests could happen without warning. One day, everything seems normal. The next day, raids, arrests, names you never thought you'd see in handcuffs, suddenly facing charges, and the media will explode. But here's the thing, the industry will fight. They'll use every resource they have, every lawyer, every connection, every favor they're owed. They'll attack witnesses, discredit evidence, delay trials, because they know if even one major figure goes down, the rest will fall. And sources say there's already a counter-strategy in place. Powerful figures allegedly meeting in secret, coordinating their defenses, making sure their stories align. Because if they can create reasonable doubt, if they can make this look like a witch hunt, then they might survive. But that's a big if, because the feds don't move unless they're confident. And if they're talking to R. Kelly, if they're negotiating a deal, that means they believe he has something real, something prosecutable, something that can stick. And if that's true, then the countdown has started. The clock is ticking, and somebody, somewhere, is about to break. The only question is, who breaks first? And when they do, will they take everyone down with them? Or will they try to save themselves? Right now, we're all just watching, waiting for that first domino to fall. Because when it does, everything changes. And the entertainment industry will never be the same. This story is far from over. In fact, it's just beginning. More details are dropping every day. More whispers are leaking from legal circles. More insiders are starting to talk. And sources say the next few months are going to be explosive. So stay locked in, because we're covering every twist, every turn, every bombshell that comes out of this case. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think R. Kelly actually has the evidence he claims to have? Or is this just another stall tactic? Do you think Jay-Z and Beyonce's names will actually come up in court? Or will they stay protective like always? And what about Kanye? Do you think he's going to come forward with his own information? Or is he going to stay silent to protect himself? Let me know what you think. And make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss a single update on this story. Because trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. This isn't just drama. This is history, and we're watching it unfold in real time. I appreciate every single one of you for rocking with me on this channel. Your support means everything. And I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there, stay aware, and remember, in this industry, the truth always finds a way to come out, even when powerful people try to bury it. Peace.